Hey, yo, what's good, what's good, what's good? Welcome to Reflections of a DJ, the R.O.A.D podcast presented by DJ City and Beat Source. I am one of your hosts, DJ Crooked. We got DJ Never here.
Yo, what up?
We got Jamie the Great.
Yeah.
We got a special guest host, Mr. Eddie McDonald from Mac Agency. What's good, Eddie?
What's good?
Good to be back.
Just coming back from his travels from Coachella.
Yes.
With DJ Pee Wee, Anderson .Paak.
Wee man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun.
I've been wanting this DJ on since we started the podcast. When I first moved out to Vegas, I first saw this man spinning at Foundation Room with Eddie, and they were playing. I think it was 2006, and you guys were playing nothing but funk, soul, disco classics. It was amazing. You guys were playing back to back. You guys were going. It's just impeccable mixing. Some of the best selection I've heard. I was hearing like extended mixes of records I've never heard before. And, you guys would go back to back. And every time, this DJ would take a break, I'd be like chewing his ear off. So I'm like, yo, tell me more about the 70s. Tell me more about what was going on in New York and what you were doing. And, he's finally here and we get to talk to him. He was in a VH1 documentary When Disco Ruled the World. He's inducted into New York Legends of Vinyl, DJ, and Artist Hall of Fame. I mean, we're talking like 50 years, decades and decades of experience from working club DJ. He's had record pulls. He's worked for radio stations, labels. He's done everything. And I'm so glad to have him here. He's the epitome of the working club DJ to me. And I'm really honored to have you here. He's experienced some of the greatest music and nightlife in history. And, we're very, very, very proud to welcome Mr. Captain Disco himself, Charlie Anzalone. What's good, Charlie?
Thank you. Great to be here. I love all you guys.
This is the longest introduction you ever did.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't think I thought you would keep going.
From Breaking Bad, yeah. All right.
It was like the Lord of the Rings intro. I got to honor my man, Charlie. Charlie was good.
I need to get the bell.
Yeah.
The Breaking Bad.
What was his name? Hector
Salamanca.
Salamanca. You look almost exactly like Hector Salamanca, right?
That's why there's so many parodies on the internet with me.
Yeah.
They got our pictures side by side.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's had people come up to him and ask him, like I don't know if it was an autograph situation, but asking you if that's you.
Yeah, they point at me.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you pointing at?
But you've done so. Like outside of DJing, you're like a professional referee for boxing and MMA, right?
Well, what I was an inspector.
Inspector.
And what the inspectors do is like we watch them wrap the hands and all that. We got to sign off the wraps. We watch them in the corner, make sure they don't do any shit illegal and all that. And we're like the ring cops.
Yeah. So how long were you doing that for?
I did that for 16 years, and before that, I was managing MMA fighters since UFC 1.
Wow.
By the way, UFC 273 was the other week.
Wow.
Yeah. Just so you know.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So on top of DJing, you were an inspector, and you've been working with UFC and boxing for 16 years.
I worked a lot of big world championship boxing fights, all the big UFC fights.
But that's where everyone would say you're the Hector Salamanca of boxing.
Yeah, the look. I give him the look.
Wait, weren't you guys going to do like a Breaking Bad Halloween?
I think we were, right?
Yeah, the wheelchair. He was going to get the wheelchair.
Push him around or something.
I think it was going to be Heisenberg.
Who are you going to be, Heisenberg?
That's the only way you can be.
Yeah, I mean, that's the closest thing I can get. The bald head.
Or Breaking Bad going to Six Flags, either or.
Right.
So when I first moved to Vegas and I saw you and Eddie DJing, you guys were using all vinyl back then in Foundation Room.
Yeah, that was the old school retro room.
The old school retro room, right?
Yeah, it was called Godspeed. It was originally, I believe, started by Sean Christie, actually, when he was still working at House of Blues before Light Group started, which meant Andy Massey was also involved. But I think it was Sean and I think Mike Fuller kind of collabed on it, and then
all the heavyweights.
When Sean left for Light Group, he kind of passed it along to Mike Fuller, who kept it going, and it was basically Mike Fuller would be in the main room playing like deep house, and Justin Hoffman would be in the room called Shangri-La, all the way in the back playing hip hop and R&B and stuff like that, and then Charlie and I would be in the dining room, the restaurant area, playing. We all just called it like the retro dance. It was disco, funk,
It was fun. It was an industry
freestyle, 80s pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. A lot of fun.
It was so much fun.
Was Eddie pretty much one of the first DJs you connected with when you came to Vegas?
Well, I walked into Caramel, and I met Manny Ramos. He goes, "Hey, you got to meet DJ Eddie. He's playing across the hall at the big club at."
Ooh, that was light, but I did we meet? I thought we met at Caramel.
Oh yeah,
See, I thought we met at
Caramel.
Caramel. Yeah, I think we met at Caramel. Yeah.
Well, Manny told me I had to meet you.
Oh, yeah,
and that's when I met you at Caramel, and then
Shout out to Manny. Hope you well, man.
So you guys linked up at Caramel, right?
he's my first best DJ. But I figured I said I got to meet the DJs here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, but
the DJs.
I lost your info. I remember you wrote your number down or something, and then and I'm sure we'll get to this anyway, so I'm not going to jump ahead too much. But then I saw When Disco Ruled the World. And I'm like, holy shit, I know that guy. It was like Casey, and then it was like, Tom Moulton, and then you see his mug. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, I got to reach out to him. And I couldn't find his contact that he left me. And we wound up luckily reconnecting not too long after that.
Yeah.
So you're originally from Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York. Mm-hmm. And your story that you started DJing in like 1973, 74?
Yeah, I started sitting in with, I was like a DJ groupie. I used to go to this place called Brunner's. It was oldies night on Wednesday night, and it was packed. And all they played was like 50s and 60s doo-wop and soul and pop. And I used to help the DJ carry his records in his little boxes of 45s, and I'd hang out next to the booth, and I'd be drinking Rolling Rock all night. Like 4 splits of Rolling Rock for $1. And
Jesus.
That was the big thing back then. So he asked me, the DJ, Tommy Sherry, goes, "Man, I got to go to the bathroom and get some beers. You want to play some records?" I was like, "Sure." So I'll never forget, it was the first, so I go, "Give me something to play." It was Help Me Rounded by the Beach Boys. But back then, all I had was one little old BSA home turntable and a microphone. So you had to say something between the record while you put the 45 on, put the needle on it.
Okay, so this is before there was 2 turntables.
Well, this particular club only had one turntable. It was a bar, really. And I put it on.
So what would you say between songs?
Well, I was going to, but I choked when I turned the mic on. I was like, oh shit, I put the needle on the record.
But typically you would just approach it like a radio show almost?
Yeah. That's what most DJs did back then.
Really?
Before there was beat mixing, and in Buffalo.
Are you serious?
Anyway.
That's what DJs used to do. They just kind of treated it like radio.
Yeah, they just put one record on after another. They talk over the mic. Because some of the early guys who played in bars were radio DJs until they were like guys who were just
for the hobby and stuff.
For the hobby, yeah.
So basically, they introduce the record. They'll put the record.
Yeah, introduce the record.
We're about to play so and so.
Yeah, here's so and so by so and so. Blah blah blah. But people would be dancing, and then they have to sort of stop and wait and catch up to the record because they didn't beat mix. They just put one after another. Yeah,
Jesus.
And it was crude, and there were just 45s, no 12-inch records at the time or album cuts, and then I got my first resident DJ job after sitting with some other guys in the early discos. The first discos opened up like 1971, 72 was Uncle Sam's, which was run by the Lyons brothers, Pat Lyons, John Lyons' his older brother.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Oh, shit.
John Lyons wasn't old enough to work in a bar. They had him washing glasses in the back at Uncle Sam's.
Damn.
Man, Pat Lyons, he was a manager / DJ. And back then, that's where they introduced a live drummer playing along to the records.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's in 1971, 72. And then Pat Lyons moved to Boston and became the nightclub god,
So what we researched you a little bit. What we read was that you were with a friend that was bartending, right? At Melanie's.
Yeah.
And the sound guy was taking a break. I guess the DJ was taking a break. And you played a couple records, but then the owner heard you and then he offered you like a gig, right?
Yeah, what happened was my friend Greg Kirsch, he built the sound system. He goes, "Want to play some records?" I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." Oh, they had 2 turntables. Wow. And he said, "But, if you get a chance, here's the thing, some of the beer specials and stuff and all that." Announced it. So, man, I got on the mic. I was like fucking Murray the K. I was like, Melanie, I got the drinks, blah, 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 blah. And the owner came up to me. He goes, "Are you my DJ?" I said, "No." He goes, "You want a job?" "Sure."
Just like that.
Jesus.
Yeah. I got $35 a night plus all my free drinks and all the chicks I could bang. What else would a 23-year-old kid want to do for a living?
Yeah.
And you was DJing. You didn't have a mixer. You just had the 2 turntables, right?
Yeah, we just had like a crude mixer to go from one record to the other. You know, there's no beat.
But it was like, it wasn't no matching.
Yeah, and we played
blended.
rock. We played rock and pop and everything. You know, that's when the bump came out. You know, so I would play songs that people would be doing the bump. There's this one chick. She was a real heavy chick. We used to call her Moby May. She was real big, and she used to bump all the. She used to dance with all the like little guys, and she'd be bumping her big ass and knocking them over and everything. Susie May, we used to call her Moby May. Yeah.
Moby May.
That's a true story.
Wait, so 35, was that a lot at that time?
What year was this?
For, like,
Well, this is 1974, 1975. But you got to figure, and after that, I started making like $50 a night.
$50.
But a brand new car was $3,000. Buy yourself a new Buick Cutlass in 1975 for $3,000.
I think gas was like 50 cents.
Yeah, 29.9.
Yeah.
30 cents a gallon. Yeah, but and once I got to make $100 a night back in the late 70s, it was like a new car would be $3,500, $4,000. So
Really?
So you DJ 40 nights for $100 a night. You went and bought a new car cash.
How many nights a week was you working?
I work 4 nights a week usually.
Oh, 4 times. Jesus. Damn. In a month, you'll have half of the car.
Yeah. It was like, and then in the 80s, of course,
Things went up.
we started robbing club owners, and they hated it. But,
Wait, what?
I said we started robbing club owners, asking for more money. Because back then, it's not like it is now where I can say, hey, Crooked, I got to take my girl to a wedding. You sit in for me. Back then, you couldn't do it. There were no DJs.
Yeah.
It was a special, nobody was a DJ.
You guys were a rare breed.
We are a rare breed. That's why club owners hated us.
Explain that a little bit.
The DJ was the only job in a guy's nightclub, or the owner's nightclub, that he couldn't do.
Yeah.
He could tend bar. He could cook food. He could work the door. He could do anything, but he couldn't DJ. And they hated that. So they needed us.
You think that's always been the stigma, even till now?
Yeah, I
Club
bet
owners?
it is. It's like, man, why are we paying these guys so fucking much money?
I heard there was...
And the bartenders hated it too. The bartenders. We were making more money than the bartenders.
I remember I heard there was a rumor. You could bleep this out. So they reopened, and they said we don't want to highlight the DJ anymore because they were done with the inflated egos. They were done with like the. And I was just wondering, what was that about?
I don't. Yeah, I mean, well, it was going to be its own thing in the beginning, almost a little nod to Studio 54 kind of decadence and some old school vibes in the main room, and he was really involved in that opening a lot. He was in a lot. I never played the main room. I was thankfully tucked away in the vinyl parlor, which was pretty sick.
Yeah. Which was like one of the first vinyl parlors that started getting introduced.
Yeah, right? That was, I'll never forget it. Yeah, Sean, I was DJing at Alibi at Aria, and Sean Christie came in, and that was our reconnecting. He came up the ramp, walked by the DJ booth, gave me a pound. He's like, we need to talk this week. He's like, I'm going to do an all vinyl room at the new... I said, all right. And then like we haven't kind of stopped working together since then. There's a little bit of a break between Light Group and then, the intentions were good to keep that vibe, blink your eyes a couple of times and fucking marshmallows in the DJ booth.
So wait, when you were DJing at this time, what was the music that you were playing? Because me and Neville were talking, and it was like before disco, there was like funk, right?
Yeah, it was all like the soul record, Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, the BT Express, just all the old funk and soul stuff, Temptations, Glass House, and the Commodores and stuff like that, and then it started to weave in, and a lot. But the first big one in 1974, that was George McRae, "Rock Your Baby," which set the bar for modern disco music, and clubs forced everybody around the world to play it on radio. It was a monster record on TK Records. That's what kicked the label TK Records off with KC and the Sunshine Band and stuff.
Neville, you were saying the stigma on funk music at that time, right?
Oh no, I was saying like I feel like a lot of the clubs back in the days they didn't want the DJs to play funk and R&B because it would bring like a black crowd.
Yeah,
is that true?
Well, that's absolutely true.
Wow.
But I was lucky to work in clubs where it didn't make any difference because when Vietnam War was over, in the 70s, people needed something to feel good about. And people were just miserable for a fucking decade with that war. And disco was like the medicine, you know, and it was a place where people, gay, straight, black, white, Latino, Asian, everybody could come and have a good time and forget about all this shit from a few years before. It was time to move on. And but you had club owners. I worked for some that were a funny story. That I was working at a place called a Club 747, and the place was just rocking. It was the inside of a 747 jumbo jet.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah, it's well documented club, and the general manager of the hotel that the club was in, the Playboy Club was next door. He goes, you play something else and take some of the black music off. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I got a full dance floor lying out the fucking door, but everybody was dancing. Black, white, it didn't make any difference. So what did I do? All right, I'll teach you. I put on Che La Luna by Louis Prima. Dun, 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 and all the blacks on the dance floor. Dun, 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 dun. And the manager came over. He said, "Oh my God!" I said, "Don't fucking worry about it." That's a true story.
And he never fuck with you after that. Right?
Never fuck with me after that. It was a lost. It was a lost cause.
Damn right.
It's funny in Buffalo, New York. You know, we were reading up on you. You were working at all of these spots in Buffalo, New York, and everything. And like when you were DJing out there, and you would go back and forth to New York, would you go to Manhattan often to check out the clubs?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we'd go to the Underground, the Infinity, which is like at Broadway and 18th Street. That's where Jim Burgess, some of the great DJs, played. And P.T. Barnum's, which was at an old bank, and it was a circus act over the dance floor with a net and all that, people on trapeze and all that.
Wow.
And then we'd go to Colony Records, and then we'd go to all the record stores. And
So that was the store to go to back in the days to buy vinyl, Colony Records.
Colony Records was one of them. And what's the other one? The Vinyl Mania. You know, where you could actually put the record on and listen to it. You know, they had turntables so you could listen to the record.
Was Vinyl Mania open in the 70s?
Late 70s, yeah.
Yeah? Oh, wow.
I didn't realize that.
Because when Larry Levan would play a hot record, that record store was packed the next day. We got to have this record Larry played, you know. Yeah.
And then I'm kind of curious, like, where did you hear like beat matching for the first time? Like, was it in Manhattan?
I didn't. My mentor and dear friend, Marty Angelo, who was on the forefront of the disco movement in Buffalo, he was a rock band manager in the 70s. You know, he managed the Grassroots and all these bands, but he got into the disco thing in the 70s. And he came back from New York because he had bands playing at the Scene, which was a real happening place in New York. And back in the late 60s, and that's when he put the first sound system in Buffalo, like 1969. But he came back in like 1975 when I had my first residency job. He goes, "Charlie, you gotta learn how to beat mix." What the fuck you mean beat mix? Because DJs are putting records together, beat to beat, so people can dance continuously, you know, from record to record without stopping and falling over, you know, and it builds up the energy. So he heard it in New York, and he taught me the basics. And I would go to this little club I worked at called the Fifth National Bank in the daytime when they were cleaning up the place on the night before, and I'd turn the sound system on, and I'd be practicing what he told me and try to figure it out, and eventually I did.
How were you like? I guess how were you learning at the time? Because you weren't referencing BPMs, were you?
No, there wasn't really the BPM thing
right
back then.
So what were you guys? How were you?
I would listen to records, and I would. Some guys did that in metronome.
Really?
And you'd count the dun, 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 and you know, and you'd put two records that had the same tempo and try to blend them together.
I never knew that.
At a certain
With
point.
a metronome?
Because I've seen pictures of those in the DJ booth, the little things.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I always wondered, what was that for?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Really?
Well, this one's the same speed as this one, you know. But then I said, you got to put them together so they make sense. So I used to listen to bass lines and drums, you know, that's, and then you hit. But back then there were no intros. There were mostly 45s and album cuts, so you didn't have the long intro of a 12-inch record that you could overlay and stuff like that.
Right.
So you had to, and these are all with live drummers before they had electronic drums to make records. And you know, a live drummer is going to go up and down and up and down, and so you had to know when that drummer was going to get slower or faster, you know, and blend the record, you know, as best you could, because there was a lot of orchestration back then. There was, you know, the Philly sound was all strings and horns and stuff, you know, it just wasn't a beat, you know. So you had to just practice and figure it out.
Damn.
How long did it take you to get it?
Probably, to be real good, maybe a couple of months before I figured out this is how it should be done. And all the other DJs and dancers that came to my club would go to the other DJs, how come we're not playing the music like Charlie, man? We don't have to fall over each other between records. We just keep going. So they started.
So you was the first DJ in Buffalo to play disco and to DJ this style of DJing.
To beat mix that style of DJing. There were guys playing funk and soul records, early disco before me, you know, right. 1971, 72 and stuff in bars. But there was a couple of big discos. There was Uncle Sam's and there was a place called Fridays and Saturdays, which was like the mecca of disco. But the reason what made it so successful is because in Buffalo, as you probably know, half the colleges, University of Buffalo and all that, are all kids from New York City. So they would be flocking to these clubs, and it's like they were really into they sort of showed the Buffalo kids how it's done. Man, we're from Brooklyn. We know how to dance this funk stuff. And that's why I was fortunate enough to play in the good clubs where those kids went.
Yeah. So like in the mid 70s to late 70s, if you weren't beat matching, you were like behind.
Oh, you were fucking, go get a job at Walmart. Or
Yeah. So that was the thing, like club owners, like, can you beat match? And be like, yeah, like, or
can you do it,
like,
Charlie?
I can't do that shit.
Yeah, how come you don't play like Charlie? I had DJs come into my club with a pad, writing down the songs I was playing.
Oh yeah, they were stealing mixers even back then.
Oh, Shazam, yeah.
But it's always good to be. It's always good to be imitated. If you ask anybody who got their song sampled, you know.
Yeah.
But there was mostly the R&B and soul music, you know, until the European sound came out with the music that the kids used to do the hustle to, you know, the real good dancers, you know, and there's so many good records by Loves and Kisses, by Cerrone, and all these acts.
Giorgio Moroder.
Oh, Giorgio! I got my first promo records from Casablanca was Giorgio Moroder, Nights in White Satin. And I still have that. It was a real downbeat thing. But then the next record they sent me was Giorgio Moroder, From Here to Eternity. So I put it on. It's like, holy shit! It's like all artificial music, all electronic.
Was this before Donna Summer?
Well, it was about the same time. Donna Summers came after on Casablanca, but yeah, Giorgio Moroder, From Here to Eternity, and it was like, holy cow! Listen to this, and he was using a thing called the Moog, which was made in Buffalo, New York. Moog Industries, not far from my house. And I was like, holy cow. You know, the beat is steady and everything. You can mix in and out of this thing. It's all electronic. And this one club I worked at, Fridays and Saturdays, we had the best dancers in the city. It would be like dance fever, you know, all the twirling around, all that stuff. And then you had the people that didn't dance too good. So he would come up to the booth and goes, he had this gruff voice. His name was Ron Pellini. We called him Pudgy. Hey, can you, I love the stuff you're playing. All these dances are beautiful, but can you throw something for the arm throwers and leg kickers? You know, like people who didn't dance very well. You know? So I put on Brick House and shit like that, and they'd be like, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it was like, I remember, like, it was just a rare thing if you knew how to dance, right? Because everyone kind of knows how to dance a little bit now.
If you didn't dance, you didn't get the girl back then. I mean, if you can go up and, you know, groove with a girl or spin her around doing the hustle and the salsa, oh man, you're the panties.
I feel like everybody knew how to dance back in the 70s.
They did. They were all
you going to a
freestyle
disco,
fucking dancing. You had to dance.
You wasn't going to stand, not doing like you're doing now, like stand around look at the DJ.
With the camera.
You was dancing
people
back in those days.
People were just dancing, just funky dancing, freestyle, you know, like Soul Train, you know? And Yeah.
But like motherfuckers who didn't know how to dance, those are motherfuckers that listen to rock, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, that's where the disco sucks thing came from, because
Right.
they couldn't get the girl
That's what it was.
and they
right?
couldn't dress.
Yeah. And then they were losing their girls because the girls started going to like clubs
Yeah.
and dancing.
Yeah.
And then they're also like, it was also like a secret way of being homophobic and racist.
Yeah,
Right?
but in New York State, you got to remember, up until 1985, only in New York State the drinking age was 18.
Yeah.
It was 21 in most states around the country, and the bars in Buffalo and New York City were the only ones that had licenses to stay open till 4 a.m. or beyond. And you go to senior prom, and then go to the disco after on the same night. You're 18 years old.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, so like all of these dudes were just hating, right? Because they couldn't.
Oh yeah, they're hating.
They're probably losing their girlfriend.
But you know
all these dudes.
but you know
right?
what started too is that because disco became so popular, some of the rock stations changed their format, and that pissed them off even
Yeah,
more.
I read about that.
Damn.
Yeah.
So wait, was that the pivotal moment when there was that thing in Chicago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it was like the disco demolition
Yeah.
in Chicago with that shock jock.
Yeah, they blew up all the
Yeah.
At
disco
the-
records.
What is this,
At the
like
baseball game.
Steve Dahl? or
Steve
something?
Dahl, yeah.
And then he like they just exploded or like they bombed a bunch of vinyl.
Yeah.
Like soul and disco and everything.
In the middle of the baseball field. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
In the middle baseball field. And then did they do that? Did that affect, like, was that the wave that started everything?
Yeah, well, that affected a lot of record producers and small record labels. If a group had a new song out, it was like chic. When Nile Rodgers back at the end of the '70s, if he had a good new production out, and the record companies would be, the disco stuff, man, they'd blown that shit up. That ain't happening anymore.
Really? So that
Yeah.
really affected the temperament at the time.
Well, the great label TK Records was Casey and the Sunshine Band and all
Yeah.
the groups he had. Henry Stone, who was one of the original record men back in the '50s, he's the guy who gave me my first DJ promo record, "I Get Down Tonight," when I went knocking on his door in Florida. And he was getting ready to sell TK Records to CBS Records for like a few $1 million, a lot of money back then. And he was hours away from signing it. And the executives at Columbia CBS said, "No, fuck the disco thing. No.
Really? Oh, shit.
And he lost his revolving line of credit and Henry Stone, and that was the end of that was the end of TK Records and Casey and the Sunshine Band.
You know, it also affected the Bee Gees, right?
Oh
A
yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Well, the Bee Gees had all those songs for Saturday Night Fever already in the can.
Yeah.
But that was really the like the shit that hit the fan was the Saturday Night Fever, the movie, right?
Yeah, it's sort of
Like
overhyped it, and then everybody came out with a disco record.
Yeah, I remember that.
In that VH1 special, I was like, Ethel Merman had a disco version of "There's No Business Like Show Business." Who the fuck want to hear that?
Right.
Yeah, and everybody jumped on it. But the little labels like Prelude and all them, they all survived into the '80s because disco went back to its
fucking soul.
its soul roots with Rick James, Prince, all the stuff, a D Train and all that. They went back to the original disco vibe, from the early '70s, and they were able to survive through the '80s.
So when you saw that shit going on at the time, what would you think of that? Like you saw that, you probably read that shit.
I thought it kind of sucked. I mean, I liked a lot of rock. I went to Led Zeppelin when they played in Buffalo, in the '70s, but it was just it's like, shit, what do we do now? But I was still getting record. I was on a mailing list from every major record label and independent. I would get promo records every week in the mail, and I kept getting them. It's like, the Rick James thing came out in the late '70s with You and I. And then, but then he in the '80s he did the Super Freak thing and all that. Prince came on board, with all his stuff, and George Benson, "Give Me the Night." It all started coming back again. I said, "This is like,
So it was.
This is still going to be cool." And Rapper's Delight too, and that came out. And King Tim III by Fatback, which came out before that. It was like, man, I guess this club stuff's going to survive,
So it was like a rough couple 6 months.
Yeah, it was a rough time. I had to get rid of my fucking polyester pants before they caught on fire.
Wait, so that really just destroyed everything. Even because I just think of Chicago, and I'm like, I can't fathom how a disc jockey in Chicago would affect nightlife or club scene or anything going on in New York.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Chicago.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Especially because look at your house music that came out of Chicago.
Yeah, it came out of Chicago.
Yeah.
So I just can't fathom that it would affect
the
scene that much.
It sort of did at a marketing standpoint, because clothing companies had to change their style of clothes they were making.
Right.
No more bell bottoms, no more platform shoes. We got to have something cool for the 80s now. Mm-hmm. And it just that everybody had to adjust. The major record labels started putting out different stuff, and the independent labels, kept going, kept their niche, Mm-hmm. But it survived, and here we are today.
Yeah. You mentioned Rick James, another Buffalo, New York native.
Oh, Buffalo,
yours, right?
Cocaine's a hell of a
You
drug.
how did you? So I think you started blowing up in the late '70s, right?
Yeah.
Is that where you got the name Captain Disco?
How did that come? That started in
that's a hell of a fucking name.
Yeah,
That's all I got to say.
1975, 76. There was a club called the Club 747 before I worked there.
Yeah.
And that was the hot club. And the DJs that were playing there, they weren't beat mixing yet either. But so I was in this club, and I thought I'd do a spoof and make fun of the Club 747. So I had this helmet at home, which I still have. It's a Steve Canyon helmet. Steve Canyon was a TV series in the 50s. So I was in my booth, I put this helmet on, and I'm calling myself Captain Disco, just to make a joke of the 747. And unfortunately it stuck, but made me famous, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, it was just a spoof that stuck.
Jesus, the nerve.
You're the original DJ to wear something in his head, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, fuck Marshmallow and all them guys. I had the fucking and Dead Mow. I was Captain Disco with a helmet on. I still got it.
So wait, what is this club Mulligan's?
Mulligan's nightclub was owned by Michael Militello.
That was like the first. Was that like the really big celebrity club?
Oh, it was the King Kong
in
nightclub.
Buffalo, New York.
It was
right?
King Kong nightclubs. They it was opened up in like 1971, 2, and Marty Angelo had put the first sound system in Mulligan's Brick Bar, which was a small bar the same owner owned, Michael Militello owned, and in 1969, and he opened up. It was a restaurant with a dance floor. And Marty Angelo was the first DJ there. And he ended up opening up a back room, which is like the VIP room. That's where OJ, Rick James, Elliot Gould used to come in town with his friends.
Elliot Gould.
Oh, yeah. OJ used to come in with Elliot Gould.
You know, Elliot Gould looks like a fucking scumbag. I can't even imagine what these guys are doing.
He was doing,
And he was hanging with OJ.
Oh
my
yeah,
God.
yeah. When OJ came back to town in the '80s, because he left the NFL, left the Bills like '79 or whatever,
Yeah,
went to Frisco for 1 year, and but he would always come back because he had stuff going on there, and Elliot Gould would come in here, and other people, all the athletes, all the Buffalo Bills, the Sabres, I'd have Bruce Smith in my sound booth, and he would touch the ceiling, all the great hockey players and everybody. It was the place to be.
Wow.
And I'll never forget, OJ got in an argument with their driver, one of the guys, and they started scuffling. And this one mob guy was smoking a cigar. He gets a cigar and squishes it in OJ's head.
Oh, shit.
Why?
Yeah.
What did OJ do?
Well, we don't want to know what OJ did.
Yeah, they were, settled down and all that stuff.
What was the song playing at the time? Do you remember?
God, I don't know. But of course, Rick James that was his hangout. Whenever he had a new,
You have so many Rick James stories.
whenever he had a new record out, his valet Callie, who was also a DJ, would come and bring me a Super Freak here. Super Freak, this is our new release. Blah 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 blah. And he relored. He had a big ranch outside of Buffalo, including his place he had in L.A.
Wait, did you ever go to his place, his ranch in Buffalo?
Oh yeah,
Yeah?
for like 2 days at a time.
Really?
I wonder why.
I made it to work on Monday.
Wait, you were working at the same time while you were DJing and doing all this shit?
I got my airline job in 1978. And I was still DJing, doing both things in the 80s. And yeah, Rick would come to the club, and after that, we'd all go out to the ranch.
You knew Rick James before he started to sing, right?
Yeah, Rick James came to my club with a buddy of mine, and he was handing out little white label 45s of a song called "Get Up and Dance." I'm Rick James. This is my new track. He didn't have a Motown deal yet.
He said, "I'm Rick James, bitch."
No, he didn't say bitch.
I'm just.
He should have. But yeah, the song.
Bitch,
The song
play my
was,
song.
Play my song, bitch.
Bald motherfucker.
Bald motherfucker. Oh, I had hair like Tony Monaro back then.
Charlie, I always called Charlie Harry Reams. If anybody knows who Harry Reams is,
When I had the mustache.
Yeah. 70s porn star.
Yeah, the porn star mustache.
Polyester pants.
Oh,
and
yeah,
thing,
baby.
It looked like Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah. But they used to hang out. Mary Jane girls would sit in the booth next to my sound booth. And
Really?
Maxie had a big long fingernail on her pinky. She used to go, "Charlie, can I use your sound booth?" She'd have the fucking her big pinky fingernail, And I got a funny Rick James. It's a true fucking story. He come in my booth one night.
I love this story.
He
I
was,
think.
"Charlie, man, I got it. I know you got it. I know you got it." I was like, "Oh, shit, cost me $100 man. It's a lot of money in 1983." And he takes it, dumps the whole thing on my record. I was like, "Fuck." And
Wait a minute, you had to buy the drugs off of Rick James?
No, he had.
Rick James took his drugs.
Yeah. He goes, "Charlie, I know you got it. I know you got it." I said, "Well, okay, here, just do a little." Dump the whole record. Hoovered it right off my record. I said, "Fuck." He goes, "Don't worry, I'll get something. I got all right." In the meantime, my record's running out. Oh shit, I got to cue up the record. It was "Let It Whip" by the Daz Band.
Nice.
And it's like bum 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 bum. There's a rock stuck on the record. I'm going like this. I'm trying to get it off the record.
To solve it.
I always need a refresher on that because I tell that story often.
That's a true story.
Probably told that story 100 times.
Yeah.
But I think I tell it. I twisted it. I got it fucked up, so it's good to hear. I would always say, you were just delivered a promo copy of Daz Band, "Let It Whip." Rick James is in the booth. "Yo, play that shit again, Charlie," or something like that. Standing over your shoulder, and he starts kind of bopping his head, and I thought a rock fell out of his nose.
No.
No. I mean, my version's good too, but the original is what
The remix is pretty cool.
That's a true story. Yeah. I gotta get off. And but yeah, it was a fun time. Yeah.
And you had a collection in the DJ booth too, in the wall.
Yeah. Well, I after the club closed, somebody else bought the club, and where the sound booth used to be, they put some water purifier or water something in a water tank. And when they tore the walls out to do the electricity, they found about 100 empty bags in the wall. There was a little hole in the wall. We used to stuff the empty bags in the wall.
It's like an avalanche of little cocaine bags.
You could have scraped them off and had an 8-ball. I
love it. Damn, man.
But yeah, that was.
I'm actually kind of shocked that Rick didn't have coke on him.
Yeah.
That
Maybe
he was
he's
taking your stuff.
no,
maybe he used it.
Just that. Oh yeah, he probably used
Just
it on
that
the
one
way.
night. Just that one night.
Yeah. It was, but yeah, it. Yeah. It was,
Charlie, be honest. How much coke have you done? In the 70s, only the 70s. I ain't gonna talk about.
not hardly any in the 70s. Because
What?
only because
90s.
Only
is,
because
really
the rich people could afford it, but they would share to the people in the that could have. Hey,
well, $100 at that time sounds crazy.
Fucking hey, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
How much are you getting for 100? If you don't mind?
A gram.
A gram?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was your whole pay for the night.
That was the whole pay for tonight.
Wow.
I could have bought a new fucking car.
Instead of coke.
And but in the 80s, that's when it got crazy. As that book will tell you, that life death on the dance floor. Yeah, that's true. That's when AIDS kicked in. That's when like excessive lifestyles kicked in, like the cocaine, the heroin, and stuff, and everything that people did in like New York and L.A. and shit and whatever. But
so the 70s, you weren't really indulging in that. That was like a once in a while.
Once in a while.
Rick James,
Rick
or
James.
any celebrity or anyone rich just
Yeah,
came in.
yeah.
He just wanted to give you a hit. Or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. Wow.
And yeah, just give me a shot of Crown and I'm happy. Yeah, shot of Crown and a pack of Marlboro. And
Wait, so you never went to? So you did go to his ranch?
oh yeah,
'Cause I've heard-
at Orchard Park.
I've heard stories about his ranch.
Well, his recording studio, the joint, was in the basement. And
Yeah.
we recorded a lot of hits and stuff. And
That's where
everything.
Eddie Murphy did his shit at?
That's where they did party all the time and film the video. When he's coming down the stairs, that's going up the stairs into the basement.
Oh, that's
of
the
joint.
actual. Oh, shit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, were you there? I think they were snowed in or something.
I see what you did
oh,
there.
yeah,
I
they
see
were-
what you did there.
Yeah, they were they were stowed in when they did that.
Yeah, for like
that
2
record,
days
that
or something.
video.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2-3 days. We had a blizzard back then.
So and then they came up with the song "My Girl Wants to Party All the Time."
Yeah, my grand party all the time, and it was recorded in the basement at the joint.
But I heard that ranch was basically like
The original Bunny Ranch?
it was borderline like a brothel.
No,
No,
it
what
was,
I mean saying that there was just so many girls there all the time.
Oh,
Like that it would there were so many girls there that like local Buffalo, New York cops would stop by.
local Buffalo cops did his security for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Because part of the deal was if you saw that thing, Tales from the Tour Bus.
That's what I got it from.
Well, that's
Yeah.
he had Buffalo cops doing his security, make sure nobody got high and drowned in his indoor pool and shit, or got in trouble, whatever.
That's why.
Yeah, because
Not again.
Rick used to fix the cops up. Rick used to hook up the cops with the hottest girls in fucking Buffalo, and they would bring a bag full of the best cocaine they confiscated.
That's true.
Yeah.
All the shit that they confiscated, they would bring.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
And Rick would hook them up with bitches.
They would come in with a duffel bag.
bag.
They would come in with a duffel bag of just like
Cocaine.
confiscated coke or any drugs,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember when
From the
I-
evidence room, like
when
the
I-
evidence room. I guess.
I was at the ranch. I was at the ranch one night. Rick goes, Charlie, man, I gotta get freaky in my bedroom. I got these two chicks, and there was a big long hallway that went to his bedroom, and all his clothing was in multiple closets.
Yeah.
So I would go down there. He goes, Charlie, man, I got something for you on the kitchen table. Yeah, okay. It was a coffee cup saucer with a pile on it. I was
Jesus.
like, God damn. So I had these couple, 2-3 girls. We go in the swimming pool. We're all naked. The dishes next to the pool. The Buffalo cop there watching, making sure everybody was okay.
The lifeguard.
off duty.
He's a lifeguard.
Off duty
Lifeguard.
Buffalo cop. Yeah, he's a lifeguard. And of course, the shit would get all wet. Once it gets wet, it's no good. I go, oh, fuck, I threw it in the pool. Yeah.
What?
It goes into your bloodstream.
Damn, man.
And Rick had a big walk-in closet full of boots. And you see in some of the videos, there's white fur cowboy boots. He said, Rick, I want these fucking cowboy boots. He goes, you can put them on your big feet, you can fucking have them. Of course, I took a 10.5, and he took like a 9. And I'm like I gotta get these things on. Like if the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. I was trying to put these fur cowboy boots I want, and I couldn't. That was the end of the cowboy boots for me.
God damn. So you were just hanging out at the ranch,
Just hanging out.
doing coke by the pool with cops watching you, making sure you didn't drown.
Yeah, and
Did you ever hang out with Charlie Murphy?
no, I never
You live around that?
I saw when he brought Eddie Murphy to a club that I hung out with. It was a rock bar, big popular club in Buffalo, and everybody's going, "Hey, Eddie, hey, motherfucker, hey!" And he goes to Rick. We're at the bar. And he goes to Rick. You take me to another bar like the one in 48 hours, I'll kill you. Yeah. And but yeah, it was a fun time. But unfortunately,
I can imagine.
But unfortunately, I'm here to tell the story, which a lot of my friends were, and I lost a lot of friends from AIDS and drug overdose. A lot of everybody who ran the dance music department, all the major labels, most of them were gay, and they all started disappearing one after another. All my friends who serviced me with records, all the crew from Casablanca and all these other labels, it's like, man, what happened to so and so? Who's not here anymore? And that sort of changed the whole environment too.
And that was like the 80s.
Yeah, that was the 80s. That's when it was like people started disappearing. I would go to these clubs and, hey, have you seen so-and-so? No, he's gone, you know. It's, oh, geez, I didn't know that, you know. And yeah, it was, AIDS killed everybody.
Did you cut back on the partying like when all this started to happen?
Not really. I always had a good girlfriend, and they sort of kept me
grounded.
Yeah, kept me grounded. And a girl I met in the early 1990s at a club. She was like 13 years younger than me, real cute. But we stayed there for 3 years, and she sort of saved me from all that.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, okay, time to. The party's over, but I was still DJing in the 90s. But it was like, I survived a time when a lot of people didn't.
I mean, a lot of things changed in the 80s, right?
Oh, it changed. It went from crazy to like, oh shit, we got to stop this. It's like, you know, this is out of control, you know.
What was out of control?
The drugs, you know, really? People started getting busted, you know, the Colombians and stuff in Florida in the 80s,
right,
you know,
the cocaine cowboys.
The cocaine cowboys and the cartels and, yeah, it was a dangerous time.
Wow.
You know,
so shit started hitting the fan in the 80s pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow.
That and it just got out of control. And but I can still tell a story, and I'm lucky I'm able to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're happy about that too. Yeah. God damn.
All right.
God damn, Charlie.
It was
Yeah,
I mean, let me tell you, Captain Disco would have crashed his fucking plane if he didn't.
Yeah, it was. Charlie, you put me onto a website called disco-disco.com, I think.
Discomusic.com.
Discomusic.com.
Yeah.
But you know, not to go back down a little darker path, but yeah, I mean, to Charlie's point, you know, I was very young in the 80s, you know, I mean, but on that website, there's a list of all these influential people in the scene, from record promoters to artists to producers to DJs to everybody, and they kind of they have their status next to like deceased.
All the great DJs, the greatest of them all. I thought Jim Burgess, you know, he died, and you know, Frank Houlihan, a lot of the great DJs, they overdosed or he got AIDS or whatever. And these were the guys that we used to go to New York to see in the 70s. Like, oh, we got to hear this guy spin, you know, wow, you know. And a lot of them are all gone.
Yeah. You know, we've when we were in South by Southwest, we were asking a bunch of DJs this question. And it was kind of like, you know, what was the best decade or era to DJ? And like a lot of people said the 70s. Oh. And they kept mentioning Studio 54. And so when we posted this video of all these DJs, you know, talking about Studio 50, I wish I went to Studio 54 in the 70s. There are all these other DJs in the comments like, why are you guys mentioning Studio 54? You guys should be mentioning like The Loft. You guys should be mentioning Paradise Garage.
The Limelight, the Infinity, the Saint.
Yeah, you know. Mud Club, like all of these joints.
Yeah, CBGB's.
But I wanted to ask
West.
you, what was your favorite club in the 70s and during that era of the 70s?
My favorite club was the Infinity.
Where was that at?
Like Broadway and 18th, I think. It was saw some hot girls. That's when they were wearing their little hot pants and shit in the summertime in New York City. And what it was.
You know what? I got a question. The Infinity, was that the Underground?
No.
Okay.
The Underground was a different club. That was Broadway and 18th Street.
Yeah, exactly.
The Infinity was down for,
Okay, that's all right.
In fact, Johnny Siglia, he spun at the Underground.
Okay.
And the Infinity was all mirrored. And it had like neon, like, let's say like lights like these, neon, only there were neon rings all over the club that be flashing, boom. But the club wasn't real big, but it was big enough, but it was all mirrored, all four walls.
Hence the name Infinity.
Yeah, so it looked like Infinity. So, hey man, let's check out that part of the club. We'd be all double, hey, boom!
Fucking maze.
You walk into the mirrors, you know, it's like, oh shit, I thought this club went further over, you know? That was the whole thing of the club.
It was like Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee.
Yeah, it was like... Oh yeah,
that was your favorite, huh?
That and during the Billboard disco conventions, we would go to every record label had a party at a different club, and I went to the 12 West, and that's where Jim Burgess had done a set, and it was a TK Records party, and it was amazing. He was playing Cerrone's Love in C Minor, which is a big long instrumental, one of the first Euro popular records. And he took Gloria Gaynor's Never Could Say Goodbye and wrote it underneath it.
Oh, wow.
from beginning to end. And I was like, God damn. And
It was like a live blend.
oh yeah, it was live blend. Yeah. And yeah, with live drummers going up and down, he would just work the pit and drag the turntable, and it was amazing. And Frank Houlihan at the Ice Palace 57, which was downstairs at 57 West 57th Street. That was one of my favorite clubs too.
Wow.
And Frank Houlihan, he was amazing. And but yeah,
Did you ever make it into Studio 54?
Studio 54 in the 70s at the Billboard Disco Convention.
A lot of my DJs like that I talk to, they fucking hate that. Like that.
Well,
That what Studio 54 stood for.
yeah.
Do you know what I
Well,
mean?
there was two eras. There was
Right.
Studio 54 in the 70s, then when it closed down, the new owners took it over in the 80s. And but in the 70s, everybody with a credential from the Billboard Disco Forum, which ended up morphing into the New Music Seminar and the thing in Florida now and all that, but it all started with the Billboard Disco Forum in the 70s. And it was at like the Americana. They had it once at the Hilton there in New York City. And if you had your credential, the Bill Wardlow, the president of Billboard magazine, made a deal with Steve Rubell. Anybody with a credential could come in and see the club. Okay, it was cool. So what happens? We all go to the Studio 54, shitloads of people outside, hot summer night, and they wouldn't let anybody in. And Bill Wardlow was furious. So finally, I saw a friend of mine who worked for a record label. After 2 hours, come on, I'll get you in. And we went in. I'm going to see all my friends. So we're walking in, and you walk through the doors, you walk down the hall, and then you go into the club. And they're my friends who were at the Billboard Disco Forum with me. You know, they had gotten in earlier. So I'm going to go there and hang out with my friends. I'm walking in there. They're leaving. I see them walking. Where are you going? Man, we've been here for 2 hours. Yeah, well, I've been outside for 2 hours. Yeah. And but it was cool. You know, not Richie Kazor DJ'd there. They had a bunch of really good DJs. But they had a lot of different DJs. Tony Smith, he DJ'd later on. And but there were better clubs. I don't know.
Why you don't hear about the other clubs? You only hear about Studio 54.
Because Studio 54 had all the publicity, good and bad, and that's where all the celebrities went. But the clubs were, you know, you had the Underground. You had the 12 West, which was a big predominantly gay club. The Flamingo, which was a big gay club, which was a spectacular club musically. And first gay club I ever went in, by the way, during the Billboard Disco Forum. It was the Casablanca Records party. And my friend, I was with Marty Angelo, and he goes, just don't stare. You know, just, you know, you see these big buff bodybuilders like, yeah, hanging out on the couch, you know, don't look, you know.
Don't look too much.
Don't look too much. So anyway, there was this tranny who was about 6'4". And her platform, you know, I've never seen anything like that before. I'm like, it's like, well, she thought I was interested. Marty told me, I told you not to stare. The Flamingo.
Yo, I have a question. One of my friends' mom used to go to Studio 54, and she said that everybody was on something even if you weren't taking anything because they would throw drugs in the vents.
I don't know about that.
The punch, though, right?
Oh, yeah, the punch. But another thing. When you went to the bathroom there, and at the, what was the other big club? Another big club in New York. When you're up against the urinal, there was a little deck there, you know, to put your drink on when you're taking a piss, but there were also grooves cut in it. So you put in the groove, you put it in a nice.
That's such a great amenity.
In the groove, yeah.
Wow.
So you're taking a piss and at the same time with the. Yeah.
Damn, bro.
Oh yeah, it was nuts.
How about
Not a Studio 54 in the 80s was different. They still had that's when John Sigley worked there,
right?
And they had a lot of great DJs in the 80s. But
you know what? That's
when the Wall Street yuppies and shit with their cocaine and attitude started going to the clubs in Manhattan and ruined the whole vibe of like a club being for everybody. You know?
Yeah.
That's actually the first club I ever went to, Studio 54. Back in 1988.
80, yeah.
But that's when it was like a freestyle night.
Yeah.
With Louis Vega.
Yeah.
You know, Matty Olson, our friend, his dad,
his father.
his father owned it
Yeah.
for a while.
Oh, really?
Jimmy, I think his name was Jimmy Olsen.
Olsen, yeah.
He was a partner in Studio 54
Yeah.
in the 80s for,
The second owner's out.
yeah.
Shit. Shout to Matty Olsen.
I know, yeah.
We gotta get him on.
Yeah, I'm about to say
Oh,
that.
Matty'd be fun.
Yeah, Matty'd be great.
Yeah.
That fucking Boston.
I
accent.
worked in the 80s. In the 80s, the guy who worked the door at my club in Buffalo, God rest his soul, Kevin Rozier, who I managed in the first UFC. He moved to New York City, and he got a job in the mailing department at Chrysalis Records. So what happens was the guys, this is in the 80s, the guys and his friends at the studio would call him because he was dealing shit, on the side. Mm-hmm. So he worked in the mailing department. So they would say, Kevin, I need to get an LP tonight and a couple of those new singles. That meant an LP was an 8-ball, a single was a gram. He'd put them in the record jackets. He'd walk up to the door. I'm for Kevin Rhodes for Chrysalis Records. I got some records for the DJ. Okay, right. And they'd let him right in. That's yeah.
Did you interact at all with Francis Grasso?
No, never did.
Okay.
Who's Francis Grasso?
He was the first guy that really came out with the beats per minute.
Oh, really?
He was one of the early.
He was one of the
blenders, kind of
early blenders,
mixers. Yeah. Like he's like an unsung hero in our world. Like,
absolutely,
big time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you ever get I think it's kind of hard to purchase. I think they might have it uploaded on YouTube. Check out Maestro. It's a DJ.
Actually, I have the DVD.
Yeah, I have
the Maestro.
If you still have a DVD player.
It's really.
That's fucked to say. You still have a DVD player.
Well, Charlie gave me a bunch of CDs. I was.
Do you have a CD?
I was like, I don't know if I have a CD player.
You can throw it in. You can throw it in a laptop.
They don't have CDs like players.
You gotta bring your 8 tracks. I was like, all right, you might.
No, I think I got a CDJ somewhere though. So I'm gonna check the shit.
Figure out how to play it, or just buy a car that's 10 years old that still has a CD.
Yeah, that's true.
First, get a license.
Actually, my 2017 Mustang has a CD player in it. Believe it or not.
We just cruise around.
Yeah.
Hear that shit. Wait, did you going back? Did you ever link up with any of these Larry Levan? Did you know him?
No.
No.
I didn't.
But you used to go to the Paradise Garage, right?
I went to the Paris Garage once during the Billboard Disco Forum. It's when Van McCoy did his first solo record. After Van McCoy, Soul City Symphony.
Because you had to be a member.
And Keith Barrow. Well, we got in there because we had credentials from the Billboard Disco Forum.
Got it.
And that was the first time when Salso brought the promo of Got My Mind Made Up by Instant Funk. Brought it to Larry to play that night. And it...
That was an anthem too over there. Right?
And the people went fucking nuts. And that was the first time I ever saw. That's where you used to walk up the ramp and had the candles, on the floor. You went up, and I look over. They had a Richard Long sound system with these big bass bins, and there was a guy in the bass bin like this, just shooting up in the Jesus. And I was like, wow, this is freaky. And Keith Barrow played that night.
So it was just everywhere. People were shooting up, doing drugs out in the open in the Paradise Garage.
What I saw was a guy in the bass bin. I didn't see much, but everybody was doing poppers and.
So you never went to go back, or you just that wasn't your thing, Paradise Garage?
No, I just went there because I happened to be in New York City.
No, I'm saying, but you never went to go back again. You was just like, it's all right.
Well, I saw it,
Oh, really?
And I went to the Underground, which I loved, and the Infinity, and there was in the Ice Palace 57. But in the 80s, I didn't go to too many clubs there because I was doing my thing in Buffalo.
I've never heard anyone talk about Paradise Garage like you just did.
I know, right?
I saw
I think it was cool, but up in Buffalo, the ranch.
I don't think he's like.
It was cool. It was mostly a gay and black and Latino crowd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go to a place where there was bitches.
Charlie wanted the bitches in the Quaaludes.
I wanted the bitches.
Did you do any Quaaludes?
Hey man, I had hair like fucking John Travolta back then. I was the shit, man. I had the mustache, man. I was ready to go.
Like Denny Terrier.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So you're like, I'm not gonna waste my time here.
I like always my time there.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it was cool to experience it with Larry, who wasn't a great mixer, but he played great music.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Cause we got into an argument with some DJs. We were saying that we heard he wasn't a great mixer, and they was like, "What are you talking about? He was the best mixer."
No, he wasn't.
Yeah,
he could if he wanted.
That I've known that
He could have.
You know who was? It was Boogie Blind.
Boogie Blind, yeah.
Boogie Blind.
And there was another DJ also that was like,
Yeah, there was a couple DJs that were just saying like, "You guys are full of shit."
y'all don't know what y'all
There
talking
are
about.
tapes out there of Larry Levan.
That's what I said. Yeah.
yeah.
A little train.
No, but
wreck
they
here.
were saying basically for every tape that you heard of him, like kind of like mixing out of like kind of
Train
just wrecking. There were other mixes where he was on point,
He was
but
phenomenal.
towards the end, like when he was kind of like ill,
Yeah.
not the healthiest. Those were the days of the train wrecking kind of mixes.
Yeah,
That's what I was
but his big thing was playing a record. Like when
He just had a great selection.
you know, one of the co-owners of the garage, you know, they owned West End Records, you know, Mel Schrin.
Yeah.
And they gave him Tanya Garner's Heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know, he put it on, cleared the dance floor. And he would just like play it again and again and again and play it for like a half an hour.
really
Like, you're going to like this record sooner or later.
Heartbeat
And
cleared the
yeah,
dance floor?
yeah. And then after that, when he put it on, a week later, they went crazy.
Wow.
You know, and everybody went out and bought the record. Yeah, but if he believed in a record, he would just loop it and play it and play it and play it and just stick it up their ass until they liked it.
You gonna like this shit.
Never. I think you and I saw Funkmaster Flex do that with Drop It Like It's Hot at Light.
Oh yeah.
Same shit. Drop It Like It's Hot cleared the dance floor. It hadn't popped yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, I'm bringing it up. He's like, I will not stop playing this record until this dance floor is full. He probably brought it back about 15 times.
Yeah.
Really?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I will say though that if I play a new record and it doesn't really hit, I double down and I bring it back and I talk on the mic, like,
Okay.
and I amp it up again.
That's good. I think we need to do that more.
I think you like
sell the record.
I think you need to sell it, and you need to be like arrogantly confident
Yeah,
about
I love that, man.
Like, you guys don't know this is the shit.
I would play it again. I would play it again 3 hours later.
That's a lost.
That's what I'm at.
I think that's a lost element in a lot of DJ sets. It's like, oh, it didn't work. You just shelf it, and maybe you go back to it if it popped. But I think that was a big part of what we did in the past was selling a record, breaking a record, working a record, and it was amazing. And as far as Larry goes, with everybody that I heard that has heard him play live has shared the same sentiments. He's like, he wasn't the strongest mixer, but he had total control of that club.
Yeah.
He had, they had the lighting and the HVAC controls on a sliding control that they would slide over to him, and he would kind of take control of the entire ship musically.
No.
Temperature wise, everything. I mean, he created, a vibe, and I think that the fact that he wasn't known as the greatest mixer adds to his legend and adds to his genius. I think it's a cool.
But he was the most influential for breaking records. If he played a record, that record was the real deal.
And him and Frankie Crocker were like, Frankie Crocker was going to garage to find out like the new shit, and then
and then he would play it on the radio.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man, because Frankie Crocker was king of New York, too. He's king.
Frankie Crocker, another homeboy from Buffalo.
Oh, is he?
He got a start on WUFO, an AM R&B station.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah, before he went to New York City. Yeah.
You broke a couple records. You broke like Planet Rock.
Oh
right?
yeah. Before anybody.
You played it. So wait, this is when were they broadcasting live from the club while you were?
Well,
DJing?
I had a radio mix show on WBLK.
You did.
They gave me a reel to reel to take home and record like half-hour sets to play on the air. We did a show called SOS: The Sound of the Streets.
like a 2-inch reel,
just like a TIAC reel to reel.
Wow.
Just a regular reel to reel.
Oh my god.
And they would put it on at the radio station and play it, and then do the commercials between and stuff.
Holy shit.
And Tommy Silverman sent out promo copies of Planet Rock, Soul Sonic Force, and I put it on, and I was like, fuck, this is like the future. I ran down to WBLK.
You sounded so high when you said that right now.
Oh, yeah.
Were you high when you heard this shit?
Oh no, but it made me high. I was like, listen to this.
The sex voice.
But it was so I ran down to WBLK, and program director Lee Zimmerman said, "What do you got there?" I said, "You got to hear this record. You got to hear this record. This is the future." So we go up to the studio when their DJ was playing. It was in the afternoon, and WBLK was a powerhouse FM station that George Hound Dog Lorenz, who was one of the old school DJs in the 50s on radio. That was his radio station.
But was this national or no?
No.
Okay.
It was, you heard it all over Western New York and Southern Ontario, Canada. It was a powerful FM station. And so Lee Zimmerman takes the record. We go in and Charlie said to put this record on. It's unbelievable. He goes, well, it's not on our playlist.
Yeah.
He goes, I'm the program director. Put it on. He put it out and the phones rang off the hook. What is this fucking record? You got They go, can we keep this record? I said, no, it's the only one I got. You'll have to wait till Tommy Boy said they didn't send it out to radio yet. And I told Tommy Silverman what I did, and then I went up and charted it. I was a reporter for a publication called Behind the Scenes that was located in that building, and the girl who ran her name was Mickey Turntable. And she was so influential, record executives would call her on Friday to see if they were going to have a job on Monday. That's how important she was. Damn. And I told Tommy Silverman, he went, are you kidding me? I said, yeah. He goes, nobody's radio's got this record yet. He goes, this record goes gold. You're going to get a gold record. Did I get my gold record? Fuck no. Thanks, Tommy. And he just sold the label for like $100 million. All of it. He bought Amherst Records too, the Amherst Records catalog, a label I worked for. And and that was when Soul Sonic Force broke. And Numbers by Kraftwerk, when Warner Brothers sent it to our record pool, one of our DJs, Patrick Cray, took it to Martin Luther King Park on Juneteenth Day. There were thousands of people there. He put on Numbers by Kraftwerk, and they went crazy. I've never heard the record like this before. Buffalo was influential because we were on the Canadian border, and a lot of Canadians all listen to Buffalo radio, and vice versa. But the bars in Canada would close at 1 o'clock. And hey, bars of Buffalo are open till 4. It's an hour, 45-minute drive from Toronto. So they'd leave Toronto at like 11 at the peak time and come back down and party in Buffalo for another 3 hours.
Really?
Yeah, and if they were sober enough, they drove back. But if not, they got a hotel room to spend the night. But they were really in tune to new music. They played a lot of progressive stuff in Toronto and stuff that came over from the UK and all that. So you could really, and then between them and the college kids of New York City, it was like heaven, playing in like 2-3 clubs in Buffalo that they all went to.
Wow. So wait, is it true that you helped break another record, which was a Disco Inferno?
Oh, well, Mickey Turntable had a Christmas party every year.
Yeah.
And every record executive in America came to her Christmas party because it's Mickey Turntable. You got to be in her good graces. And I was at the Club 747, and all the record execs had their hotel rooms there. So Vince Farice, who was vice president of Atlantic Records promotion, and Primus Robinson, who was the R&B promotion director, he came up to me, he goes, man, I like this club so much and I like you DJing. You're going to get the Tramp's new album before anybody else. And this was on a weekend. A few days later, I got an express mail. I got a record in the envelope. It says, Happy New Year's from the Tramps. I opened it up. It was the album. It's white label. I still got it. It's with Disco Inferno on it.
Oh, shit.
This is 6 months before Saturday Night Fever came out. Wow. Yeah. So I remember on New Year's Eve, I played Disco Inferno on New Year's Eve, 1977, at the Club 747. Yeah.
Wow.
I still got that record.
So you were one of the first to ever fucking play that shit.
Yeah, in the club. Vince Farice, I'm going to make sure you get this first.
Did that shit clear the room?
Oh, fuck, no. No.
Like a 10-minute version.
It put more people on the floor than Shayla Luna did.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was, I worked in influential clubs.
So wait, at that time, when you had a big record like that, would you just run it back and run it back?
I would play it before the peak time of the night, and then I would play it again later on in the night when people were raw.
So max two times a night, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't loop them and extend them because it was extended anyway. It was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
But if there was a good record that I liked that was a short version, I'd just loop it back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
So in the 2000s, there was one record that all DJs, was one of the first in my experience ever, where all DJs had to play it maybe 6 to 8 times a night. And that was 50 Cent in the Club.
Oh, in the club, yeah.
2000s.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if there was a record like that in the 70s or 80s that you just had to, because we never looked. There were big records all the time, but nothing like in the club where like literally you could play it 4 times in a row, and no one would leave or complain.
Yeah.
They wouldn't leave the dance floor. They wouldn't complain.
That was another. Never told me about that record. We were at Dre's, and we would be at Dre's, and as soon as we'd go, AK would give us a 16 ounce of Johnny Walker with a little McDonald's lid on it and a straw in it.
A McDonald's
lid. Yeah. He's like, it just keeps on going. Go, shorty. It's your birthday. And I think we got it on like Audio Galaxy, and that cleared the floor too.
It cleared the floor.
Yeah.
Cleared the floor. A few weeks later, 5-6 times, and I tell people I broke that record, but in a different way. I was at Foundation Room. And I just had it. I couldn't physically listen to the song anymore, at least for that night. And some girl comes up, oh, can you play in the club again? I said, no, I can't. She's like, well, why not? And I took it out and I smashed it to pieces over my head. I said it has a skip in it or something like that. Then, like when I was living in Atlantic City, like this is like 2012 now. This is like 15 years later or something like that. I was at HQ Beach Club, and my buddy TOT from Jersey comes up. He's like, oh, I was hoping I'd see you today. And he opens up in his wallet. He's like, I've been meaning to show this to you. And I see like this black shard, like plastic, and I see grooves, and I see a little bit of orange. And if you remember the vinyl, it was on an orange label. I said, oh shit, wait. He's like, he was there that night. He's like, I watched you smash that record over your head. Basically tell those girls to fuck off. He's like, and I kept a souvenir. He's like,
oh my God.
I'm like, wow.
That's funny.
Wow.
Did you ever have a record like that in the 70s or 80s?
Oh, Caribbean Queen.
But actually, it was a good record. My man said, ugh. Yo, we interviewed you at one of our live events. And we were like, what is the song that you're tired of playing? And everyone was like, oh, Montel Jordan. They were like, oh, I'm so tired of playing, Mo Bamba or this or that. And then we went to you and you were like, Caribbean Queen.
You didn't like it?
Oh, I liked it, but not like for 3 years.
Wow, so you had to play it like 4 times a night or something.
Yeah, a couple times a night. It was actually a go-to fill your dance floor record.
Was that a big song in the clubs? Caribbean Queen. Was it a big song
obviously.
in the nightclubs?
Huge. It was guaranteed to pack your dance floor.
And then, it's a funny thing. That's like the last record we would ever play if we were ever doing like a set.
Yeah.
From that era.
There was also a Spanish version of it too.
Yeah, well, they had multiple.
Yeah.
They also have African Queen.
African Queen. Yeah. They have multiple versions of it.
Wow. That's interesting, though. You said, though, I like it, but I don't like it for 3 years. Like, so what? Like, so to have to play a song for 3 years because of its popularity, that's like nothing compared to now. I mean, we're still fucking playing Get Low. Yeah.
Blow the whistle.
But I'll tell you, if you're doing old school night, disco, retro disco, 70s, 80s night, you play it.
I feel like you had to play Staying Alive a couple of times during the night. Was that a song you played
in the 70s, Staying Alive, and then it's like Billie Jean.
That was like levels.
Or Blame It on the Boogie, in the 70s and stuff like that. It was guaranteed. If there's a lull in the night, okay, I got to figure something out. Because let's face it, our bars, we started DJing at 10 till 4 in the morning, and it's like there's going to be a lull in the night, so there was always going to be, okay, I'll put this fucking Caribbean fucking Queen, and the dance floor would full, and then you'd be all happy,
re-energized,
like you're a hero. Yeah.
What was it like when Off the Wall Michael Jackson came out?
Oh.
And then you were just playing like every fucking song,
every cut on the album.
Yeah.
It was like.
Was it a bit unheard of, or was there any album like that ever that you would?
No, that didn't have that many hits on it. It was amazing,
crazy, right?
It was crazy, and they were all written by
Quincy
Rod Temperton.
Rod Temperton, yeah.
Rod Temperton, and he wrote all those songs for Michael Jackson, and his first band Heat Wave, and then he went on and just started writing for everybody.
I remember I had to buy more In the Club record. Like, because it was getting fucked up because I played it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I bought like 3 copies off the wall.
Yeah. I'm like, how many copies did you have to buy? Or how many did you have to run through with Off the Wall? I feel like that whole album.
Oh, a couple albums.
Oof. It's like
because the grooves are small and you're tracking your needle at 3 grams or something.
Yeah,
it's like
it's the worst, right?
It's like the worst.
Yes. So wait, you were gonna ask something, right?
I wanted to talk about hip hop music. So when hip hop first came out, was you a fan of it?
Oh yeah, because it was fun. Stuff like King Tim III by Fatback Band, and then the Rapper's Delight, which I heard on WUFO, the AM station. Frankie Crocker had got to start at. I was listening. I said, I hear Good Times by Chic, and I hear some guy talking over it. They're singing. I said, what is this? I called the radio station. What the fuck is this record? Oh, it's a new Rapper's Delight. Oh, okay, and I was like, I said, they're starting to sample a disco record and starting to what we ended up calling rapping over it.
Yeah.
I said, something new is starting here, But I used to like all the old stuff, the Humpty Dance, the old, all that old, cool, fun stuff,
I'd have another question following that one. So when hip hop first came out, did you think it was going to last this long, or you thought it was going to be just a fad? It was like it's going to be around for a couple of years, then it's going to go away.
I thought it would be a fad, but then I started listening to it, and I said, they're sampling a lot of old records to make these records. So maybe that'll give it longevity. And then that's what it did. It sort of sounded like an older record with a cool rapper drum beat sampled, and it was like, and then you had just more and more good stuff coming out. Then you had the Soul Sonic Force, and you had all that stuff, and and it just mushroomed from there. But never thought it would be where it is today.
It's funny. I was talking to a few DJs, and they were saying that they think hip hop is like kind of nearing the nostalgia phase right now, where it's peaked, and we're playing all the same records, and it's just like it's not really going.
It's not going to progress. Yeah. It's going to stay where it's at right now.
I just think like it's just kind of like it hasn't progressed like it did in the 2010s, like in the 2000s, right?
And they're waiting for something new to explode,
right?
To take it to another level.
It's been stagnant for quite some time.
But it's not there yet.
Yeah, so it's like entering this nostalgia phase because we're still honestly playing some of the same fucking records for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not even considering a lot of like the newer, what I guess would be considered hip hop. I mean, I'm not super up on all. I don't, but like I don't know, like just, new hip hop artists.
It's just less and less songs that are like making it through. Yeah. To the point where like 80% of the night, 85% of the night is throwback.
Yeah.
But then they're also looking at if you're like analyzing streams and people listening to music. Like over like I think over 60 or I don't know the numbers, but it's a large majority of people just listening to older music and not newer music.
You think pandemic had a lot to do with that? I would imagine. I think maybe people's ears got tuned into a lot of eras of music that they might not normally have gravitated towards.
I do think that people maybe were definitely listening to a lot of more older catalogs during the pandemic, but I also feel like artists maybe and like the way people like the way artists are approaching music or hip hop in general, I think that's really the key thing right now.
Interesting.
I think
because artists are making more money playing video games on Twitch than making music. Like T-Pain made more money on the pandemic playing video games than the last 10 years of his career.
Really?
Yeah, that's what he has said. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think if money was a motive, I think that's gone and they're getting money elsewhere.
Wow.
Like if an artist has like a crazy record and they're really not going to make that much money from streams. They're really going to make more money from performing live and touring. Which is like the complete, I mean, back in the day, if you had a hit record and went platinum, I don't know, there's like all of these weird like new songs that are going platinum now that I would never think would go platinum.
I know.
Like
just recently, I saw NBA YoungBoy had 100 singles into the Hot 100.
Yeah.
Since his career started. I don't know any.
I don't know like one fucking
maybe two of his songs, but 100.
That's what I'm saying.
Crazy.
Like, the motive, the shit is being saturated is different. Supposedly, I think I saw Mad Skills post that there was over 33 million songs last year that were released and never played once in any streaming platform.
Oh, really? Wow.
So that tells you like how much shit is coming out and nothing's being played.
Well, I remember like in 2020 or 2020 and 2021, I went to New York and I was like, "Yo, what's the biggest song y'all playing right now?" And everyone was like, "ABBA."
Oh yeah. I remember
like
you said that.
ABBA, Gimme Gimme,
Gimme,
Wow.
yeah.
Or
and
Dancing Queen.
Dancing Queen. They were like, "That's the biggest shit right now."
Yeah, I was like, wow.
And I thought they were joking. I was like, "Fuck out of here."
Well, look
and then in the past few months, everyone's like, "Yo, fucking YMCA is killing."
I'm about to say,
Come
I
on.
heard, the new hot song I heard is "It's Raining Men."
I'm telling you right now,
Yeah.
Charlie,
Like,
Charlie got to come back, yo.
Yeah, you got time to come back.
Yeah, man.
It's time.
The captain needs to be back.
I'll dig the helmet out.
Yeah, dude. Like even I played Justin Bieber "Baby" and that shit blew the fucking wall off the fucking.
Like right
place.
now, all the 2000s and like the 2010s, early 2010s to 15s, that's all really coming back. Right?
back.
Like the key year, I think I was talking with MoMA about this. The key year of like the best hip hop in the past 5 years, I think is 2016 or 17. Yeah, 2016.
16, I would say.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
16.
And he's like, whatever was out in 2016 is fucking destroying right now.
Like the Fetty Wap, all that.
All
All
of this
that, all
shit.
that mustard production.
Yeah, 14, 16.
Yeah. 16 is just like, that's the fucking key right there. It's like kind of the last years where
It's like
hip hop
when I
was like
started,
really
like-
dominating.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I always found out like in the 80s and 90s when we do, the world's largest disco in Buffalo. That's done every year. There's 8,000 people there. It's like all young people. I'd be talking to someone. I said, you're really into this stuff? He goes, my mother has all these records. They grew up listening to these records. So a lot of kids that are listening to like the older hip hop now, or that's really happening.
Yeah.
Their big brothers and sisters probably were playing it.
Right.
And now they're old enough to like really get into it, And look at Northern Soul. Northern Soul. People are into shit from the 60s.
Yeah.
And on the radio stations in the UK. And it's like, wow, they're really into this stuff. They weren't even born yet.
I mean, there's all the parents and stuff. Because my mother was playing nothing but disco and Motown.
Yeah.
So that's all I grew up listening to for the most part.
That's what happened.
Did you like throw like this huge disco event in Buffalo? It was like,
World's largest disco. Right?
In 1979, there were some promoters, Bruce Marsh and Glenn Arnett, wanted to do a big event for, I think it was United Way, and or Make a Wish. I think it was United Way. And he had a meeting with some of us. He goes, disco may be peaking and on the way out, so we want to do a big event while it's still relevant. So they called it the world's largest disco. And me and Marty Angelo, they were at the Billboard Disco Forum trying to get record companies to send them an act or something like that. And they got no response. So me and Marty got on the phone. And we got, Edna Holt from West End, Cindy and Roy from Casablanca. I got Fern Kinney from TK. And we got some of the bands. And then the band guy who was booking bands got Edwin Starr, The Tramps, Gloria Gaynor, with full bands, no singing over a record, or live. And so I helped that get off the ground, and I was one of the, and we had DJs from all over. Me, John Sigley, and Marty Angelo represented Buffalo. Michael Lewis, who worked at the Trocadero in San Francisco and the Studio One in LA. And Bobby Gattadaro, who worked at the studio and a lot of big clubs in New York, who was the highest paid DJ at the time in New York. He made $50,000 a year DJ in New York in like 1977. That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
So
A lot of cars.
okay, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was going to ask you about that DJ. Why you never hear about him?
Oh, Bobby Gattadaro?
Yes.
Oh, God, he died years ago from AIDS.
Oh, so he never got to like the 90s and shit.
Oh, no, he was gone in the 80s, yeah.
Damn.
Like a lot of them were. And, Walter Gibbons, who did remixes for Sal Soul, like, Hit and Run by Lolita Holloway and them, they're all gone. Patrick Cowley, who was originally from Buffalo, he moved to San Francisco when he was in high school, and he came out with, Megatron Man and all those songs, that 80s
Menergy.
electronic stuff, Menergy.
Yeah.
He's gone too.
He was another. Yeah, he was sick.
He was
like he was unsung.
Yeah.
Unsung hero.
Yeah. He was amazing.
Outside of Buffalo, what was your favorite city to visit to party in?
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale?
Oh yeah, that's where a lot.
that was popping at the time, right?
Spring break, man.
Scarface,
yeah.
But in the disco era, records I was playing that didn't get a great response yet. After spring break, those same records
We're hitting.
packed the floor because these kids heard them in Florida at the big clubs in Lauderdale that were really happening, and so they were listening to the same record in a different environment that made it more exciting. So then they came back from Florida, and man, I could pop those records on, and they'd be going crazy because they heard it, they heard it where it was working.
Yeah.
And there was a DJ at Big Daddy's called Oz. He was a bass player. He mixed his record, pick up his bass. He's playing the bass to all his records.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale was like.
I never expected.
No. Fort Lauderdale was like, you hear about Miami.
You just hear about retirement.
No.
Oh, back then Lauderdale was hip.
Before
it was young.
Before South Beach.
Before South Beach.
Before South Beach.
Fort Lauderdale. Like if you go to Fort Lauderdale like now.
Yeah, I'm saying like
It feels old.
So-
But wait. So you'll see all of these like older people who stayed there from the 80s. They were like, yo, and I talked to them and they're like, and if you even look around, you're like, damn, this shit still kind of look like the 80s. Like,
Yeah.
and everyone that's there is older and came because of the 80s. They were like, man, I came here in the 80s and I loved it so much I moved here.
Yeah.
And that's how poppin' Fort Lauderdale was.
Oh, along Commercial Park Boulevard and everything, and and along A1A, all the beach bars along the water there, and Las Olas, where all the cool bars are. But back then you had the Penta, you had Big Daddy's, you had all these big clubs in Fort Lauderdale that were, spring break.
Did you ever want to travel and stuff, or like did you ever do it or no?
I had an opportunity to DJ in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Back in the late 70s, before I had my airline job, I came out here. My friend Mike Moscato, who used to run the Playboy Club and the Club 747 where I worked at, he came out here in like 1978, and he managed the brewery, which was on Paradise, and that was like the place where Anthony Spilatro, all the mob, everybody hung out.
It was called the brewery?
The brewery. That was the discotheque here. And he goes, you want to come out here and DJ? I don't know.
You have to bring all your records and shit.
Yeah, I don't want to move, to move. And then I got my airline job in 1978. So that was it.
Was there carrying cases back then? Mm-hmm. Did they have like carrying cases for the for your records?
It's a milk crate.
Not milk crates.
Oh shit!
But what you did, my friends from Toronto, when they'd come down to visit me to Buffalo, they would bring me milk crates from the Canadian supermarkets. They'd go in the back of the supermarket, get the Canadian.
Were they different?
Yeah, they were made for liters, not gallons, which means it was perfectly 12-inch square.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So that was
I
the original.
I got a lot of seal test milk crates from Canada that are perfectly 12-inch square.
Yeah,
You have to put your
fucking-
records in the side.
In the wider ones, you put the 12 inches here, maybe throw some 45s on the
45s on,
side,
yeah.
or your needles or your headphones
Yeah.
on the side.
So you used to travel. I mean, when you came to Vegas to DJ,
No, I didn't DJ, but I used to come here all the time.
Oh, I thought you had come to DJ.
No, I was offered the job.
Oh, okay, my bad.
And then there was another club called Dirty Sally's. I could have worked there, and I turned my friend Doug McDuff on to it. And he became good friends with DJ Frankie. He goes, you know Doug McDuff? I said, yeah, I'm the one I got him as a gig in Vegas. I didn't want to move.
Wow.
But that was there was like two discotheques in Las Vegas at the time. It was like a whistle stop.
So
And-
you never traveled like to DJ, but when you went, kind of, you probably went to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh
right?
yeah, I guess DJ in Toronto many times.
You did?
With my friends who DJ'd up there.
Did you
Come on to do a couple hours with us.
Did you notice the style was different? Were they like a little behind? Were some cities ahead?
Oh no, they were Florida. Lauderdale had great DJs.
Really?
They had great mixing DJs. They played a lot of upbeat Euro disco dance music, and it was real. Because you had a lot of the Latinos there, they'd be salsa dancing, so they could play all the cool music,
That's so interesting. I'm really. I want to talk about. Hold on. I wanted to talk about the '80s a little bit because I feel like I know that was like a dark time and everything kind of changed during the '80s. What was it like when you were DJing? I know there was probably a lot more electronic music coming in. The dance scene was changing, and then leading up to the '90s, like How was it navigating your career from the 70s to 80s and 90s?
The 80s was pretty easy because the music went back to its R&B roots that I started playing in the 70s.
Right.
And, with all those great independent labels, in the 80s. And then in the 90s, it started to get cool again when you had a lot of Eurobeat house style type of music.
Yeah.
And that was just another whole new energy. As long as you get people, you had groups like Black Box and all those things.
Yeah.
All those groups that were, that crossed over and they were, and that it was a whole new energy, and I really liked that era.
And so, like in the 90s, did you retire at 96?
Well, in '96, I moved out here to Las Vegas with my day job, with my airline job that I had.
Wow. Why did you retire?
Well, my airline job was important, and I was working with MMA fighters.
Yeah.
I was going to Japan every 3 months, booking fighters there, like John Lewis and all them. I'd go there every 4 months. And I went to the Ukraine, did the first MMA event there, booking fighters and coordinating the event. And there wasn't really, there wasn't really an opportunity to be a DJ that much here because there weren't that many clubs here. And then there's my buddies. I met Eddie and DJ Hollywood and R.O.A.D and them. But outside of that, there weren't a whole lot of DJs and clubs. With opportunities. But I just wanted to move on. If I wanted to do anything, I'd want to open up a club.
Yeah.
And I had a backer. And unfortunately, when the economy all tanked. He was a big developer of Rite Aid drugstores, and when Rite Aid drug stock went bad, he was stuck holding millions of dollars worth of paper. That was it, because we were thinking of opening up a place here at the time. And nobody at the casinos didn't want clubs until Bobby Baldwin finally got it. At the Wynn with Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, they had Club. I think Club Rio predecessor.
Oh, Rio was the place.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I can't even imagine.
You wouldn't think that now.
I couldn't imagine.
I never liked it, but that was the spot. The Rio was killing it. You had Club Rio and you had Voodoo Lounge.
Lounge
up on the roof.
Yeah.
I loved Voodoo Lounge.
That was a great room.
Yeah.
Because Prince was also there too. That was a selling.
That was later on.
That was later on.
Later on.
But see, when I moved out there, and everyone talked about like the Club Rio, and I think
Studio
Voodoo.
54 at MGM was another.
Yeah, but it was it was kind of a wrap for Rio at that time. It was like mid 2000s.
When you moved down here,
Yeah,
I would say it's kind of it started to kind of dwindle in popularity.
Yeah. So it was popping in the 90s, kind of like a little bit.
Fucking
Yeah.
I mean the drink, fucking. Club Rio, but the drink was a standalone. The beach was standalone, and as far as in
the
beach
casino,
was
a popular place.
Yeah, as far as a casino, it was probably Club Rio, and C2K at the Venetian was probably like late '90s, early 2000s too.
Yeah. So like when you came to Vegas and you started focusing on MMA and working at the airlines, I'm kind of curious. Did you want to step away from DJing because it was a lifestyle choice, or you just wanted a change in career?
Both. Yeah. But then you always have the itch. I would go home and do. They'd always have some DJ reunions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The world's largest disco. I helped them bring that back 15 years later in 1994, and. It still goes on today. It's a charity event. 8,000 people sell it. Sells out in an hour.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's the Woodstock. Bobby Guttadaro in 1979 called it. He said, "This is the Woodstock of disco." Nobody did an event like that. 15,000 people showed up in 1979. Yeah. Canal Plus from France was there doing a newsreel and everything. It was huge.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
So it was like kind of a gradual thing?
Yeah. But I still brought all my records and shit out with me. I said, you never know. Never say never. Right. Then I walked into a place called Caramel, and I met the guy that's sitting next to me.
Right.
And he goes, "When's the last time you DJ'd?" When I was back in Buffalo. He goes, "Bring some records with you Monday night to the Foundation Room."
Wow.
And he sort of rejuvenated.
Kill it.
That was a
Kill it.
fun Monday night, industry night with Eddie. That was a blast. We did that for like a year together.
Yeah.
It was almost 10 years, right?
Yeah.
Like a decade after you retired.
Yeah.
96 to 2006.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I did the VH1 special when Disco Ruled the World 2005, I think, and then we did the Foundation Room a year later.
Yeah.
Something
Right,
like
yeah. Right around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That party was great.
Monday night, it was the best.
Yeah.
I used to be jealous because I was doing a hip hop room with Justin Hoffman, and I used to be like, "Damn, I want to do this room. I want to DJ with these guys." Man.
Never mentioned that. And then I remember one night they had Roy Davis Jr., like legendary house music DJ and producer.
King Britt.
King played the main part. Yeah, I was talking to Roy, and actually no, Roy played there, but it was King Britt. It was King Britt that was
Britt.
like, man, I want to play in there with y'all. I'm like, come on in, man.
Yo, like looking back on like your life and your career and everything from 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. You know, I always have this conversation, like in your 20s, you want to make as many mistakes as possible. You want to learn as much,
Of course.
but you also want to like kind of master a skill or master the craft. And then in your 30s, you kind of make money, right?
Yeah.
And then in your 40s, you're kind of learning to juggle, like kind of almost it's like it's about time management, where you're learning to juggle like work, family, friends, and kind of manage it all.
Yeah, you start to get older and you start to get married and you got kids.
Yeah.
You got a little more responsibility, but you still want to do a club at least one night a week. You still want to like keep in shape. Like some people go to the gym, some DJs, they got to go and spin for a few hours.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering, in your opinion, what do you focus on in your 50s, and then what do you focus on in your 60s? That in your experience that you've learned throughout your life.
You got to say to yourself, I had a lot of fun. I made a lot of money. If I knew I was going to live this long, I would have saved more. But then you still got like 20 more, 15 more years to start saving for your retirement because time goes by fast, man. I'm going to be 70 years old in August. And
Congratulations.
And it just,
Not a lot of people make it to it.
I'm telling you. Jeez.
You don't look.
I'd be a good candidate for like an anatomy. You know,
Made it to Rick James's ranch, and he's still here.
Yeah, but the next thing I know is like, okay, I got to put more money in my 401k now because it's like I'm 50 years old. I'm going to collect my Social Security in 15 years, and the last 20 years went by in a blink of an eye. It's like I got to start getting serious. I got to build up my Social Security. I got to have a job with a paycheck with Social Security taken out of my 401k from work, and I got it's like. But if there's a chance to do an hour vinyl set somewhere, I'd do it. But it would, and I could still kick ass. But you end up like Eddie. Now he's into the real business end, booking DJs, events, and stuff like that. Not just DJing. He's looking at the future, and and you're doing very well.
Thank you.
It's like certain guys, they end up, now it's time to get into the business end of it. Am I gonna be an engineer in a recording studio, or if I start my own record label or do something? I'm not just going to be a DJ. I got to start thinking of the future. I got to start making money. I got 15, 20 years left before I retire, and believing that time goes by fast.
Yeah.
Fast.
I was kind of noticing like with other other business people or other creatives or artists, when they start entering like their late 40s or 50s, they start and even me, like I'm starting to think about it a little bit more, but in whatever industry they're in, they start wondering how they can affect the culture of it.
Yeah.
In a more positive way. Like I don't know, like even guys like Dr. Dre and probably like Jay-Z, they're kind of like, yo, I made all this money, I'm a billionaire, I'm a millionaire. But then they start thinking like, how am I affecting the industry? How am I affecting the culture, the people, the community? And they start thinking of how they can like control or help, their peers or the industry in some way. I don't know. I was just like kind of spitballing that out, a little bit. But because that's what I'm starting to like kind of think about as I'm entering. Because like I think as I started, towards my late 30s, entering my 40s, I was still thinking like, I was just like, oh, I'm competing with these 20-year-old DJs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And after a certain point, you're like, I got to take like a different role as I'm getting older with all these DJs.
It's definitely it's an important conversation,
Yeah.
and this is an important interview, and it's a great guest to have to kind of you have a lot of the younger guys coming up. So what's it like? And you're coming up, just getting started now, but to look forward and with somebody that's kind of like seen it all, been through it all, still does it, still has the passion. But it's like the questions you're asking are important. Like so what were the steps like? It's like, I'm hitting 50, my 401k and this and that. You like, there's going to come a time.
Right.
If you're not in the studio making records and you're not building a brand in your prime that's going to transcend, decades or something like that, you got, if you don't want to be relying on those DJ gigs that, into your 50s and 60s, you really got to start, paying close attention to where this is going, and I'm thankful that I was able to like parlay it into something within the industry.
But you even went through your ups and downs. I mean, you at one point, Eddie, you were like
Miserable?
you were driving an Uber. You know what I'm saying?
I'll do whatever. I was selling fucking streaming, Cody boxes and shit like that. That kept me going. I'll do whatever. I mean, I don't care. I'm a hustler.
No. But you were DJing. You were killing it, and then you moved to the East Coast. You came back, and then you were like, you
had to start over again.
You started over.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to stay. Listen, opportunity knocked. It was my time with Light Group came to an end after 14 or so years, and then I hit up Hakkasan Group. They offered me a great opportunity, and luckily it was in my home state. I said, you know what, let me do that. My father had just passed. I said, yeah, I'm gonna do that. This is gonna be great. DJing, booking DJs for a company that I had a lot of respect for. I love Neil Moffat,
in
and
Atlantic
Alex
City,
Cordova,
right?
and those guys, Derek.
In Jersey,
so we were in Atlantic City, and then when the club was crushing it, when the casino shut down, it's like fuck, I spent a lot more time in the industry in Vegas, and I got much deeper connections out there. I said, I got to go back. But, and we were me and Justin Hoffman landed a gig at the Artisan, DJing at the Artisan, doing like an after hours thing until like 6 a.m, which was fun, with Frank Richards also.
Oh, that was fun.
But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. And then Alibi opened, that got me back in with Andy Massey and stuff like that. And but I was driving Uber to supplement stuff. I didn't have stability yet. And then I just kind of got which I've said many times, I just kind of got a little burnt out on DJing. I wasn't connected with the music. And decided it was time to start creating another path, but I didn't want to leave the industry because I still love it.
You kind of hated the new music.
No, I still hate the new music. Yeah. Did I hate it? Yeah, you could say I hated it, but there's no right or wrong. I mean, people like it, and that's fine. It wasn't.
I want to give my perspective, because when I started working with Eddie, when I started working with Eddie from Mac, he was still DJing at Alibi about 4 to 5 times a week, and then slowly he started like 3 times, 2 times, and then I remember during that time he was like, "Yo, can you send me a folder of the new shit? Because I don't know what's good."
He was
again.
People might like it, but I'd go on a lot of the record pools. I'm like, great, another fucking Moomba tone remix of fucking Justin Bieber or something. I'm like, you listen to like 200 records, maybe you'll get one that you wouldn't feel ashamed to play. And I just like it. So I would definitely.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Yo, can you
explore some corner cutting opportunities with my DJ
and it's
brethren."
But you were smart. You didn't burn any bridges here. You kept all the important contacts for the most part.
Yeah, no, I didn't. It's crazy. Yeah, as crazy as shit has gotten, I've always kept the relationships intact. It's important, and that does it not just in this town, but you could see all the interchangeable people between the Vegas market, Miami, New York. It's a very small world, and it's a very small industry. So
I remember I think Never, we were talking to somebody, and they were just like, man, like I forgot what was the conversation, but they were just like, fucking Eddie's killing it right now with Mac and Anderson .Paak and DJ Pee Wee's traveling, and they're just like, man, like he's doing really well. And I think there was this thing where it's like, like maybe he got hooked up or something like that. And I was just telling him, like, yo, like. Eddie was like a few years ago was driving a fucking Uber. Like he's been through, like we all have our ups and downs of our career.
Absolutely.
But it's just like, it's really how you stay focused and you grind. And it's honestly, like you said, like relationships, yo. Like just really maintaining the relationships, being a solid, like trustworthy, consistent dude. And like you stayed in the game, like you've been through the ups and downs of it. And then you fucking, you basically remade your bones. And you know what I'm saying? And you're doing what you're doing now, Like,
thank you, man. Yeah,
no, but like everyone just thinks like it just happens or it's a hookup.
Yeah, exactly.
But like that's a tough time. Like I've been through it. You've been through it. Never been through it. Like we've all had like if you've been in any type of industry for like 20, 15 years, you're gonna go through it.
Yeah.
And it's really how you bounce back. And it's how you like kind of like carry yourself when you hit that low.
Yeah.
And you don't like attack motherfuckers and shit on everybody.
Get bitter.
You kind of just like, yo, I'm gonna stay in my lane and build my shit back up brick by brick again,
Yeah, you find a way,
Yeah.
I mean, and we're all very close here, everybody in this room, and we're all, and we've seen a lot of accessibility in our industry over the last years, technology, whether it's technology or just, it's not a difficult thing to, become a DJ anymore. It's just not. And that's fine. That's fine. Technology is part of the game. I stopped getting bitter and hating on it and shit like that. Go nuts. But I kind of know where we all come from and our emotional attachment to this craft and this industry, and it comes, so it is a lot of ups and downs. You don't like to see something that you're very guarded over and stuff like that become like fucking the floodgates open up and everybody's got their little fucking controller and
but it's funny. It's like as much change as there is, it always comes back to
The essence.
the actual, like you just said, the essence of it all.
The roots where the foundation is at.
Yeah, and it's great because then sometimes you see these like some new blood or like the new gen really understanding, like they're really kind of keeping the essence of what DJing is or what music is, and they're continuing to like push it forward.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's really the great thing. One of the things I always remember is like I'll be DJing and Charlie would text me and he'd be like, "Where are you at this weekend?" And he would come out and he would just hang out and fucking listen to me. And I always just remember like, yo, I felt really honored that you would just come out to listen. And I would get nervous as fuck because I'd be like, I'm like, all right, try not to push too many buttons. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't write the fucking mix.
I'm like, yo, like, you gotta mix a little bit more. Don't be pushing the buttons. Like, mix a little more, scratch a little bit more, show this motherfucker. Like, like I'm not,
Shit, can I mix Lolita Holloway into this future record?
And don't cut that song in half. It's a great fucking song. Don't ruin it.
Play a verse.
Look, you mixed on the fucking break. You're mixing on the break. You're mixing on the fucking break.
But I enjoyed going out to see Eddie and you and R.O.A.D in Hollywood over at the Palms and stuff, so I could still touch it, so I could still feel the industry. I mean, just so I could still be in touch.
Finger on the pulse.
Absolutely.
Shit, I was really honored and everything. I'm honored for you coming on the show.
Yeah, you're a great DJ. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, we gotta get you back on the wheels one of these days.
I think we'll make that happen. That's an easy thing to make happen, man. For sure.
Just turn the tables this way, not battle style. Reach over the pitch control and have your watch hit it.
John Luongo played when we went over to Mattio's place and we brought John Luongo.
Luongo, there's a legend. God damn.
Yeah, Matty was like, I can't believe these guys are in my house mixing records right now. And I bought some, John Luongo. So John Luongo, legendary producer and DJ and stuff from Boston.
Yeah, he DJ'd with Matty's father in Boston.
Yeah.
Then he ended up mixing all the Jackson stuff for Columbia Records.
Shake Your Body Down to the Ground.
Everything.
He did Jackie Moore, This Time Baby, that extended remix with that amazing arrangement. He did Melba Moore, You Stepped Into My Life, 12-inch mix.
And they gave him his
Greg
own
Kim
label.
Band, Jeopardy. He did Jeopardy. I think some Joan Jett stuff, but like amazing. And he's like, I want to get back into it. And so we went over to Mattio's house, and we have these pictures of like generations of DJs like touching a Yuri.
We talked about the 50s. Now that you're entering their 70s, if you look back on your 60s, what do you think, you learned the most? Or what do you think your 60s was about?
Or what I have done different? My 60s were, I was lucky to make it that far. I was lucky to have a good career. I was lucky to save some money, although I could have saved more, but I'm very comfortable. And I look back, from the 70s, hanging out with DJs. I was a groupie until in my 60s, I'm coming to see you guys as a groupie.
No.
And it's like, I'm like a DJ groupie. It's like, because I learned a long time ago, the DJ, you get into all the clubs, and Eddie always hooked me up, I was like, Eddie, who do I see at the door? And, but yeah, it's, I made a lot of good relationships here in the nightlife business.
So it seems like a lot of like gratitude, right?
Yeah. And, I never got married, almost. No wife, no ex, no kids. I couldn't find a reason to give somebody half. So I was really, I was just a free spirit. I work at the airport in the day, or I was working with the boxing commission and stuff on the weekends and stuff. And it's like, but when the event's over, I'm going to a club, and I know which club I can get in because I know the DJ and I know who I'm going to see. So I was still like a kid in the candy store, being able to, some friends coming to town, oh man, those clubs, like, I'll get you in a club, come with me. We go to On the Record, boom, I bring a couple friends in, it's like, wow, you know everybody. I said, no, I know the DJ. It's like, they thought I knew the owner of the club. No, I knew DJ Eddie. And, and because there's so many great resident DJs here, they should be making more money. But that's what the market is now. Like you said, a lot of young kids want a DJ. DJ for $200 a night, not $800 a night. But I look back and I'm happy with everything I did. And if once you start hitting into your 50s, make sure you have a plan that wherever you're living, make sure it's paid for. I paid off my condo. You want to retire with no mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Unless you got a pension. And stuff like that. I was lucky to have a couple little pensions, but time flies fast. Start setting yourself up to when the party's over, that you can just kick back and do what I did, be a groupie and go see new DJs that or go to a club and just still touch the music industry. But you want to be, you don't want to have shit. I got a $1,500 mortgage payment this week. I got a $400 car payment this week. You can't have that. And I learned that a long time ago. So I was a car junkie, and I would buy and sell, that I didn't need, but I wanted, And all they do is lose money, So, but I did all that shit while I was young enough to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then I got into my 50s, and it was like, I'm gonna be hitting 60s, and it's like, okay, I gotta get my finances in straight. That's really the most important thing. Mm-hmm. That's gonna make you real happy 15 years later.
Wow. I heard also, like, a lot of motherfuckers told me that the best sex you have in your life is in your 50s.
Oh yeah,
is it true?
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why is that?
He can have a threesome every night.
Because it's funny. I go out with chicks younger than me, but only because I can take them to a club, and it's like I'm in tune with pop culture.
How young?
Shit like
how
that.
young are we talking here, Charlie?
What's your age limit?
Yeah.
Like that you're like, nah.
No, I like chicks in their 40s, early 50s, mid 50s.
I like it.
With they got nice big divorce settlements. They got their own car. you don't have
take care of you. Charlie.
You ain't gotta buy them nothing.
Yeah, they just want good times and dick.
But I go out with chicks, hang out. They're like my gal pals that are in their 30s. But they'll meet me at a club or something. By my friend, she met us at the club with her friends.
Oh yeah,
my friend,
of course.
Yeah, she's cool. Yeah. And but I met a lot of these girls through the mixed martial arts and the fighting events, because a lot of them are kickboxers and fighters and stuff. Yeah. So it's like I was able to relate to that. A guy my age is going to go home and listen to a Sinatra record with a scratch in it, and I go to a club and feel comfortable because I'm in tune to the music, and the vibe and stuff. And, I'm not there to pick up chicks. I'm there to hang out with them. I'm just here to enjoy the lights and the technology. Like when I go see Maddie over at the XS. Man, I've been in the booth with him and Neil, and I'm looking at the technology. I'm like, God damn, this board costs more than the whole club I used to work at. And the technology, that's what I'm into. I'm like, I just like to see how it's involved. Just like I'm a car guy too. I like classic cars, but then I like to see how they have evolved. And it's like I like to explore You know, I don't like living the past at all.
Yeah.
And I just like new shit, and I will till I croak.
Wait. No, tell us about the sex in your 50s.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you.
Well, no. You was getting into it, and then you started talking about light technology, and I was like, wait a minute.
No, go back.
How is this
Maybe
leading to like?
leading to like a fleshlight or something.
Well, you know, the flashlight.
I'm like, where's this going with the light?
We're I start talking about decades or so.
No, my bad.
And ages and stuff.
It's cool.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Come on, you can still get a boner in your 50s and 60s.
Yeah, no. I know.
As long as you're healthy.
Well, Charlie's been as an aspiring geezer porn star since I've known him. Right?
Oh,
geezer porn.
Oh, I met the king of geezer porn.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Somewhere he's on a podcast saying that he met Captain Disco.
but it's like it is, especially if you're with a girl that's active,
Yeah.
maybe a little freaky, that you can do shit that you wouldn't do with your girlfriend 20 years ago. Now you can pull their hair, spank them, grab their arm.
I'm picturing him with the hat on, the Captain Disco.
Oh, the Captain Disco. Oh, what a great idea.
Shit, here we go.
I'll come out of the bedroom naked with the helmet on. I'll tell her marshmallow ain't shit, baby.
Oh man.
When he's done, he's gonna start ringing the bell.
I get the bell. I give him the look.
Oh my God, Charlie.
It's the best part of the interview.
Charlie, thank you so much for coming through, man. Eddie, thank you for coming
Thank
through.
you for having me. I
appreciate
love these guys. I love you guys.
Salutes.
Charlie Anzalone, thank you so much.
If you want to watch more episodes from R.O.A.D Podcast, click either links on the left or the right. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page and get updated on new uploads throughout the week. Peace.